This is NT Sports Blitz. If you don't know by now, I'm Neef, also known as the Fat Boy. Holla at me.
What's going on, everybody? This is your host, G. Perry. Welcome to the NT Sports Blitz. This is episode 6. We're excited to be back on and bringing you the latest and the greatest in the sports world and sharing our views and opinions with you. How you making out on your end, Neef?
I'm good, man. I'm sorry, y'all, we missed a week. You know, sometimes things happen, but we plan on being every week with it, so forgive us for that one.
They don't know that. They don't need to know that, but we're going to keep it moving anyway. So just coming up initially, this is some breaking news in baseball. Mookie Betts, former American League MVP, he just signed a huge deal with the LA Dodgers. He signed a 13-year, $380 million contract to remain a Dodger for a very long time. He actually was going to be a free agent at the end of this shortened season coming up, but the Dodgers jumped on top of things and locked him in. He was a Boston Red Sox for years, and he turned their deal down that they offered him around $300 million. He didn't sign it, and he ended up getting traded to the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, they've been on the cusp of winning the World Series for like the last 4 or 5 years. They just can't seem to get over the hump for various reasons. But this is a mega deal for them to ink Mookie Betts and keep him in town for a very long time. What you think about that contract, Neef?
Well, I didn't catch that, unfortunately. I think it's a smart move. I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but I'm very aware of the Dodgers always being like right there and not, getting that championship. Good, man. Listen, I always said, like, you want to put your kids in something, you want your son to play sports, that baseball money is crazy.
Yeah.
So, I love to see, that opportunity, that man get that money. So hopefully he'll put I don't really care. I'm a Phillies guy if I'm a pick. So, I don't really want the Dodgers to get off anyway. But, congratulations to that man in that that contract. But it's a lot of them big contracts. They hard to live up to. When you look back at the Rob Pujols situation, even and I can't think of my man's name with the Phillies right now. That came from Bryce Harper. He had a pretty good season last year, but it's like when the money it's kind of hard to compete with those large numbers, no matter what the product is or what's the term I'm looking for, Jay?
Well, it depends on the situation that the player is in, for starters. If you go back in the day, Alex Rodriguez, he signed a mega deal with the Texas Rangers when he initially left Seattle, and it was a lot of pressure on him to live up to that big contract, like you're saying. And he ended up admitting that led to some of his PED use and him using steroids and banned substances and things of that nature. He felt he had to deliver on that big contract. So sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But sticking with baseball, the baseball season is set to kick off tomorrow.
Right.
July 23rd, you have the New York Yankees and the defending and the reigning champions, the Washington Nationals. They're going to be starting the baseball season and kicking things off. And then July 24th, you have the rivalry, the LA Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. They'll be stepping on the field and playing as well. But I just wanted to touch on that topic. There's a shortened baseball season. Typically, you have a 162-game season with baseball. Due to COVID and restrictions and changes, they're going to play a 60-game season this year, and then they'll continue with the 10 teams in the playoffs. My favorite, I have the Yankees coming out of the American League, and I have the Dodgers coming out of the National League because their lineup is sick and ridiculous. Cody Bellinger is the reigning National League MVP. Now they traded and added Mookie Betts to that. They have a phenomenal pitching staff. They're just loaded from top to bottom. I'll give you my dark horse in both conferences. In the American League, the Houston Astros, they may come out swinging because they've been scrutinized for the past 5-6 months because they got caught cheating in the 2017 and 18 years. They were getting pitches known against their opponents. So if you know what pitch is coming, it gives you an unfair advantage, point blank, period. But their roster is still loaded and stacked. And I think they might gel together. And all that adversity that they're dealing with, it could prompt them to coming out on top. In the National League, the Atlanta Braves is my secondary pick. The Atlanta Braves has a hell of a lineup as well, so it's going to be very interesting to see how those things plan out. What you say, Nate?
Well, first of all, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but I think this 60-game season will make it more interesting. One of the things that might turn me off from baseball is the fact that it's just so many games, and it's hard to keep up with. So I like what you're saying about Houston. And I remember them back with Bagwell and them back in the day. And I think, they have something to prove. They might be I don't think a championship team has more pressure on them coming back this season than they have because of all these things that's been put out in the offseason. So no team has more to prove coming off a championship than they have. So I think it's going to – and just the reaction – it would be better if the crowd was present, because just that and them playing in front of the crowd and their reaction probably would make the game a little bit more must-see. But I'm interested in Houston. I heard a lot about the Braves. I want the Phillies to, if I'm about to pick somebody, of course you want the home team to win. I heard the Dodgers are talented. Like all the things you said, heard Atlanta real good. What about Washington, though, G? They won the chip.
Well, Washington lost their best position player. Anthony Rendon left in free agency. He wants to sign with the Los Angeles Angels. He is a hell of a player. Hit home runs, drive-in runs, hit for average. He really was an excellent player. He's a third baseman. But they lost him in free agency. They also have a couple of players that are not playing due to COVID. So they chose not to come back and play with the restart of baseball, just for fear of their health and their safety of themselves and their family as well. Now, the advantage that the Nationals have, they have a dominant pitching staff, and that's what put them over the edge and allowed them to win the World Series last year. But they kind of caught lightning in the bottle, and they got hot at the right time, because they did go to 7 games in that series against the Dodgers, and they fortunately came out on top. I just don't see them having that same sustained run, and given the fact that it's a shortened season, I just think that the more talented roster will probably come out on top as opposed to them. That sounds like Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon.
My bad.
The transition. I ain't mad at it, Neef. I ain't mad at it. That's definitely a cool little change. But moving on.
I got a question now. Do you think the lack of with it being a shortened season? I remember you speaking on it before about you never know who can get hot with 60 games, and the fact that they might feel disrespected being the returning champions. And if I recall correctly, even with their best player, having their best player last year, they weren't somebody that people felt like would win a championship. And I could be wrong. Do you think they could possibly, feel disrespected, feel slighted, and come together as a team and make a run? Or it's no way?
I mean, anything is possible. I just don't project seeing that come out as the outcome for them, to be honest. It's a new season. There's a lot of changes. I mean, one of the major changes, they have a designated hitter in the National League now. That was not the case for forever. Pitchers always had to be that ninth batter in the National League. Now they get a designated hitter. So that's why I'm saying the Dodgers, they have a more top-heavy roster. Atlanta does as well. But those teams also have strong pitching staffs, so they have the offense and the defense. So I think they would be able to supersede what Washington has going on and take them down once and for all. And, I mean, I know the Dodgers, they're pissed off. They lost the World Series to Houston, and I believe it went 7 games. But now we find out after the fact that Houston was cheating, and they had inside information going on. And, unfortunately, they can't go back and strip the Astros of that title and award it to the Dodgers. So they still have something to prove, man. They've been right there for a lot of seasons in a row. They've won their division a lot of years in a row, like 7 straight years. They've been a division champs for the National League West. So if I was a betting man, I would be putting my money on the Dodgers over the defending champion, Washington Nationals.
I got one more question. Now, with that being said, like I said, I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, right? But I've seen in sports where though that team that always comes close to winning, when they get to that point, sometimes they break because it's like, oh, what if it be like last year? You get what I'm saying? Like, how them teams be, they get close and then, or like the Phoenix Suns, that little run they had when they couldn't bust through. Is it possible? Now you're saying they're possibly a favorites, and I'm hearing that. But because they've been so close and they failed, is it possible when playoff time and things get tight, history repeats itself?
I mean, that's a good question and a different perspective. But being as though they traded and added Mookie Betts to their roster, Mookie Betts already won a World Series. So what he brings with him is veteran leadership, experience. He's already a champion, so he gets to transfer that knowledge, that know-how to the Dodgers locker room. Think about LeBron going to Miami, and D-Wade was already a champion. So D-Wade taught LeBron how to be a champion. I think Mookie Betts can have that same impact on the Dodgers locker room as well. So, again, like I said, if I was betting my money, I'm putting my money on the Dodgers to come out of the National League. But moving forward, the Washington NFL team still are under fire. They just have multiple transgressions. It was reported that 15 separate women filed suit against them for sexual harassment and just misconduct. And this wasn't a one-time ordeal. This was a culture that existed from 2006 all the way to 2019. So that was more than a decade long. That was the culture with that organization. So some of the culprits were friends of Daniel Snyder, who's the owner of the Washington franchise. Some of the people in his inner circle, some of the team's pro scouts, and a former broadcaster for the team as well were some of the people that were accused of these transgressions. What's your thoughts on women not getting proper respect in the workforce, whether it's in the sports field or corporate America? I mean, what do you think about that? Because we know that that's a common thing that has existed for decades just in society, but it unfortunately exists in the sports world as well, where you just have women that's trying to do their job, feed their family, chase their dreams, and you have men that's trying to take advantage of their positions. What do you think about that, Neef?
First off, I want to start off by saying 50 Cent was right. When it rains, it pours. Goodness gracious, boy. I think if you haven't learned anything right now in the last 5 years, I mean, you did it to yourself. I mean, we've seen some of our favorite people, whether it's on TV or in careers, lose their jobs because of this. So, I mean, this is nothing new. This is nothing that, just started happening. It's something that's been going on. I mean, and it makes it, like Daniel Snyder, like, dog. Like, when sell a team? When is it time for Hunter to sell a team? Because end of the day, it's like we got this Redskins situation. Then we have this 15 women accusing y'all of sexual misconduct. Like, what else is it going to take? I think some owners might be ready to sit down and have a discussion about removing or changing up that situation. I think the commissioner has to be making some phone calls and some red flags are going up. But I mean, it comes to a point where, though, listen, times have changed. You can't be, this is how we used to do it. Things aren't like that anymore. So you have to adjust to that. These women do not want to be pushed up on or felt like, you might feel like, I'm just trying to holler at her and I'm kicking some game to her and I'm not doing whatever. That's not acceptable anymore. It's time to change. And if that's what's going on, then it needs to be discipline had.
Nah, that's completely inappropriate, man. I mean, it's no room for that type of behavior. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, you and I, we're both fathers and we have daughters. Could you imagine a daughter just trying to go to work and operate in her profession, her career, and somebody's just giving unwanted advances, making inappropriate comments to her because they feel like it or they find her attractive and they think that's the thing to do? Like, that's not okay. That's completely unacceptable and it's despicable behavior. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks NBA franchise, he told Daniel Snyder, you just need to own up to your mistakes and move forward, not try to sweep things under the rug or try to weasel your way out of what you did wrong. Just own up to it. Own up to the mistakes and what y'all did wrong and then try to move forward from there. But it should be a realistic apology. It should be something that's heartfelt, not something that's like a PR stunt because it's the quote-unquote right thing to say or the right thing to do, but it needs to be genuine. And they just need to turn their culture upside down. They need to dump all that garbage in the trash, and they need a fresh start. What I am glad about is that they do have a minority head coach in Ron Rivera, and from his past history, Ron Rivera's been a no-nonsense guy, a straight shooter, and a good culture coach. So I think that's one good thing that Washington currently has going for them. But they have a lot of crap that they need to shore up in DC.
Even with the situation with the name,
Mm-hmm.
though they're talking about changing the name, it wasn't no. Maybe I'm wrong, and I might have missed it, but I'm gonna call some sincere apology. That it was a statement put out, but it didn't feel like an apology to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Correct me, Jay.
No, it wasn't something that was sincere. It was like a PR stunt, like I just mentioned. They really just glossed over the real factors, and they didn't really dig into details of how they offended a big population of people for decades upon decades, because they felt like they were entitled to do so. They felt like this is our organization. We've won Super Bowls. We can do what we want. That's really the way that they moved. But it was no genuine contrite apology that they gave to Native Americans for offending them and keeping this red skin thing going for decades upon decades. So they have a lot of crap to clean up in Washington. I mean, they've been losing on the field and off the field. So, some people say 2020 has been a worse year for them. I think Washington's NFL franchise, they fall right under that category as well.
Definitely.
Moving on, the NBA. They have the bubble tip line that they have in place for people that are breaking the bubble and they're not following the rules. I believe Rudy Gobert, who I don't think should be the face of anything, because when COVID kicked off, he made a joke about COVID. He took light of it, and he rubbed his hands over multiple microphones at a press conference. Lo and behold, he ends up getting tested positive for COVID, and then Donovan Mitchell, his teammate, ended up positive. So Rudy Gobert made a comment of it being snitch-like, is for the lack of a better word. What's your thoughts on the NBA having a tip line within a bubble?
First off, Rudy Gobert, you from France, brother. Just relax. You don't even know nothing about this snitch situation. I think it makes sense for me. Okay, how I look at it, if I saw a player go outside the bubble, I wouldn't make the call. But I'm not mad at somebody else who does. Y'all understood what the rules was going down there. These rules are set in place to keep everybody safe. Maybe you haven't been paying attention, but if you look at TV, go turn on the news or something, these numbers are high. People are dying. It's still getting worse. So we got these rules set in place for a reason. Follow them. We adults. Like, y'all make too much money for the goofy stuff. Too much money. If you telling me, okay, listen, Neef, we're going to give you the rest of you making $15 million a year, or what? If you can be a bum, there's some bums making $15 million a year. If I'm a bum making $15 million a year, and they tell me, listen, Neef, for the next 2 months, we need you to stay right here. And we got everything that you need right here. All you got to do is stay right here and hoop, which I love to do.
It was reported that a player had invited an Instagram model down to the NBA bubble, and I believe somebody blew the whistle on it. So I need to know this from you, Neef. Do you think it's fair or foul having that system in place? What do you think on that?
As far as what you mean, like, what do you mean?
That they have a tip line that if people see stuff going wrong, so let me put this in a different context. So some states have implemented that police officers are required by law to report bad police. If there's police officers that's out there breaking the law and they're violating citizens, they're now mandated to report it. So the NBA created a bubble so that the pro basketball can get back to finishing up this season and have the playoffs and things of that nature. But they put it in a safe haven down in Orlando. So they put a system and structure in place to be followed. So the NBA said, we're going to give a tip line for violators. If y'all catch somebody that's violating the structure that we put in place, blow the whistle. So do you feel that it's fair or foul that that system is in place?
I think it's fair. Like I said, I wouldn't make the call, but I think it's fair. We're talking about the health of everybody.
You wouldn't make the call, Neef?
I wouldn't make the call. Like, I'm not going to do it, but I'm not mad at somebody for doing it. Y'all make, like, bro, you know how much money we talking? We talking about changing generation. We talking about generational wealth. If you do well, some people mess it up, but this money can make a big difference in your family, your kids, your grandkids. So you telling me you can't go somewhere where they playing? They ain't like you sitting in a cell or you sitting up in some room all day. They golfing, they fishing, they playing pool. Like it's like a vacation. And then you hooping what you love to do. All you got to do is just stay in that area. We talking about adults, grown men. If you want a shorty down there, then you should have set that up and did whatever you had to do to get your whatever.
Well, here's the thing. Some of these NBA players, they have their family that live with them. And I'm not talking wife and kids. Some NBA players have their parents, maybe even grandparents who actually lives with them. So you have older people. Older people are more susceptible to contracting COVID-19. You also have players who have wives that are getting ready to give birth and have children. So people have bigger things to think about than just playing ball. So if you see that your colleagues are violating the structure that was put in place for everybody's safety, you absolutely should blow the whistle and call them out on it. Because it's foolish. It's selfish, it's foolish, and it don't even make sense. Why run the risk of messing up the operation for everybody, for the lack of a better word? Why even take that chance? Like, you got to take one for the team. This is one of them situations that it's time to take one for the team. So if the NBA put a system in place and you're not married and you feel like you can't get no yams, then you got to deal with that. You got to suck it up and deal with it temporarily. It's not forever. It's just for a brief time period.
Yeah. I just ain't making a call, though. But I'm not mad at G. What you said, though, yeah, I would probably say, yo, dog, come on, man. Like, what is you doing?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like I said, it's immaturity. Be an adult for once.
It's not worth it, man, at all. It's not worth it.
And then it might play a role in next season. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't just for now. We talking about December, and we don't know where we might be starting the season in Orlando when the season start back up again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a high possibility, especially if it works.
Yeah, we definitely don't know what the future holds in that regard. Moving on to college basketball. There's a few conferences that have canceled fall sports. Done. You have the MEAC conference. You have the Ivy League and the Patriot League already. They have canceled fall sports, period. Some of the bigger conferences in college that are agreeing to continue to play, they're going to be playing conference games only because they're trying to limit the exposure to other cities and states and things of that nature and cut down on it. So they're just going to be playing conference games only. But how big a deal is it that you have some conferences that have completely just canceled fall sports? So that's football, basketball, indoor track, and other sports as well. But how big a deal is that they've taken that measure?
I mean, to me, it shows who cares enough about their actual students or the students than anything else. You see who really cares. You know, when you sacrifice and know that there's money that's going to be lost by doing so, I mean, that's all that does. It lets us know that, you know, who cares the most. And I mean, then you're gonna have the followers who are gonna do it because somebody else did it, and that's gonna happen. But end of the day, the conferences or the people who decide to, you know what, we're just gonna cancel it to be safe. They show us that they care the most about their athletes or their students that go to their school.
I like it because, like you're saying, it's showing that the schools and their administration, they're putting the best interest of the student athletes first and not their own agendas and not worrying about the budget, not worrying about those games still being played and things of that nature. So I like to see that because as we've discussed in previous episodes, the NCAA have been pimping athletes for quite a long time. So it's a nice twist to finally see them step up and put the student athletes first and put the administration and the budget and the staff second. Because it's just so many unknowns still moving forward with COVID. We don't even know what the long-term consequences are for people that contracted. If it's contracted by kids, we don't know how that affects them, their growth, long-term, their immune system, just so many different things. So I definitely do like seeing that these conference officials have stepped up and chosen to just cancel fall sports until they really get a handle on things. Now, I've been saying it for many episodes now, if seasons are played, and I have to give that if because we don't know what the future holds. things could drastically change at the drop of a dime and go in a completely different direction. So I think we're on the same page when it comes to that, Neef. But moving
Yeah.
forward to the NFL, a few players have signed some big contracts. There was players that were tagged with the franchise tag and were unable to sign long-term deals, like Dak Prescott. He signed a franchise tag, but him and Dallas were not able to come to an agreement, unfortunately for him. But Derrick Henry signed a long-term deal with the Tennessee Titans. He was this last season's NFL leading rusher. He ran for over 1,700 yards. He signed a 4-year, $50 million deal. You also had Chris Jones, star defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. He signed a 4-year, $85 million deal, and he made mention that Patrick Mahomes did support him and had some influence with the team, locking him up and not letting him go. And you also had Myles Garrett, the helmet swinger for the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett got locked up by Cleveland. They gave him a 5-year, $125 million contract. So they showed that they believe in him, even though he has some bonehead things that happened. They're still riding with him. But I wanted to get your take on those deals that were signed by those players.
The Derrick Henry deal, to me, I feel like, and we're going to go into this a little bit later when we talk running backs, I feel like his style isn't a style. I don't see him making all 4 years, definitely. I might see 2 years, but them big running backs, them power running backs, 6'2", 6'3", Eddie George type guys, I think that's like a dying
breed?
Yes, definitely. It's something that's going away. Not really catching the ball out the backfield. I think he fits their scheme. He's like the Draymond Green for the Titans.
Gotcha.
He's valuable. His value is more with them than it is with any other team. He wouldn't, and it was smart for him. It was smart for him, and I think it was smart for the Titans. So when I look at the deal, I think of it as being a deal that works for both of them. But I don't see him having the kind of year he had last year in any of these 4 years that he just signed a deal.
That's an interesting take.
Myles Garrett, you got to pay Myles Garrett for the simple fact. Not only he made a mistake, definitely. Not only is he a beast, but you're paying a lot of other guys coming in. And I think it means something to a franchise when, your number one pick and your guys that have been there, you got to pay them. You just pay Hooper. You brought Beckham in. They was trying to get what's my man who played for I can't think of his name. My man who out there still right now, the defensive end / linebacker.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Right. They try to get Clowney. So for me, it's like you got to pay him. I think he's worth the money. He's still young, might be 24. He's going to get another major contract. I think that was definitely an investment. Chris Jones, another one. The team, their best defensive player, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. I'm hearing, behind Aaron Donald, he's the guy. And they won a championship. You threw Patrick Mahomes that big money. He's been sitting around for years, longer than that, waiting for his bread. So giving him his money definitely, I think, was good for the team morale and good for the team in general.
Well, just to spin off of this subject matter, how do you feel about the disparity in pay with running backs and all these other positions? Because offensive linemen, they get paid handsomely, but wide receivers, quarterbacks, the defensive linemen, they get paid way more money than these running backs do. Who touched the ball the most? The running backs do after the quarterback in most instances. So why are they so underpaid, man? I think that is foul. And they're really taking advantage. They got leverage over those guys, but they're also taking advantage. So when Zeke Elliott sat out and held out, I applaud him for doing so. It's like, pay me my money. I know my worth. I know my value. I know that this team would not be a playoff contender. The team would not be a Super Bowl contender without me being here. So Christian McCaffrey, he just got a big contract and deserved every penny of it. Zeke Elliott, he got a big deal, and I'm glad Derrick Henry got some money. Your boy in Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, he want to get paid as well because he don't want to be a victim like these other guys have been.
Well, to answer your question, what did you play in high school, Jay?
I was a slot back, so I played some receiver and I played some running back on offense.
Right. So most little kids growing up, they want to be a running back. I think it's just a lot of running backs that come out of college. I mean, it's something that there's an abundance of. That's why we see, at the 28, 29, it's like they don't want to pay the running backs. But I understand what you're saying, but my issue goes deeper, and my issue really is the franchise tag. The franchise tag to me is the problem because either I signed my rookie contract. I do depending on what round I was drafted in, I do those years. Then you can put a contract, a franchise tag on me for 1 and 2 years. Now I'm 28, and y'all don't want to pay me, or don't nobody want to pay me. Either invest in me when I'm 26, or let me go and go to a team that's going to invest in me. So so my issue isn't really with, of course, if they had to make that decision, I guarantee these guys will get their money. But the fact that we have this franchise tag in our back pocket, and then we can pay you for 1 year, top 5 running back money, and then the second year, I guess top 2 or top 3. It looks like a deal when you're 28 years old. And like perfect example, like my team, like Dalvin Cook, we were talking about the guys behind him. We got Boone and we got what's his name, Madison, right?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
I like both of those guys. So when you got Madison and Boone, and I'm pretty sure they like him too, it's like, well, are we in a rush to pay Dalvin this big money, even though Dalvin's situation is different because of games missed? I think they feel like it's more of we have more leverage, right? Because like with a quarterback, when you got a Patrick Mahomes, there's not 2 Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Patrick Mahomes. There's not even a Cam Newton sitting behind. So when you got running backs in the league, you got guys that can come in and fill in and not miss a beat. With a quarterback, what's the top 3 backup? I don't want you to answer the question, but I'm just throwing it out there. What's the top 3 backup quarterbacks? They're not guys that you feel like, I can win a Super Bowl with that. I feel like with Dalvin Cook, if he gets hurt again, with Morrison and Boone back there, we still can do some things and still be solid, just to talk about my team. So I think that's what plays a part in it.
I don't agree with that. Dalvin Cook has a level of explosiveness to him that those guys don't have.
I'm not denying that.
It's the reason that he's a starter. So when Dalvin Cook was down, Minnesota didn't have the same open attack on offense because that's the big element that they lost. Dalvin Cook isn't just a runner. He's also an explosive receiver. He can catch a screen pass and take it to the house. His backups do not have that same ability. He can do that just like Alvin Kamara can do it, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. Like the elite running backs are guys that can catch a pass and take it to the house on one play. Their backups can't do that. Now, if they play on a team that has a sound offensive line and they can block well, yeah, they can pick up yards in the run game. They can move the chains. They can get first downs, but they don't have that same explosive element to them. That's why I feel that these elite players at the running back position, they deserve to get paid more money. And I don't like seeing them getting shafted time and time again. And then you had their teammates that play other positions, they get all this money. If Derrick Henry wasn't on the Tennessee Titans, do you think they would have made it to the AFC Championship last year?
No.
So they should have paid that man like they wouldn't have made it to the AFC Championship if he wasn't on that team. That's where I'm coming from with it.
Dalvin Cook, I love you, and you are explosive. We just talking, okay? You're my guy, and I love you on Madden. And I love that. So
did you say I love you on Madden?
Yes, I love Dalvin on Madden.
You play Xbox or PS4, Neef?
PS4. I'm about to get that 5-2 as soon as it drops.
I didn't even know. I'll give you some smoke in Madden, brother.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Smoke in Madden, brother. My stepson got me back on the stage.
Oh, yeah? They'll do that to you.
But staying with the NFL, we want to jump to our top 5 NFL running backs. We want to get right into that. You go ahead. The floor is yours, my brother.
Top 5 running backs. Okay, I'm going to start with 5. The number 5 running back in the NFL to me right now is my man Chubbs in Cleveland. I think going into this third year, or this is the second year? Third year?
Third season.
I think he's going to have first of all, they got more weapons. You can't put 8 in the box. So it's the weapons around him too. That plays a part for me. The weapons around him too. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is you got Kareem Hunt sitting there. And Kareem Hunt is a beast. So, I got Chubbs at 5. At 4, I got my man Dalvin Cook. To me, Dalvin Cook is the 4th best running back in the league. He would be higher on the list if he played more games and was more healthy. Love what he does. The offense, all the things you said a few minutes ago. The offense ain't the same without him. Offense is more potent with him. He catches the ball. He runs the ball. He could take it 80 yards, and he will run some people over too. Number 3. My number 3 running back is, I just lost my thought. My number 3 running back is Miles Sanders. Now, it's simply off potential. Miles Sanders, I love watching him play. I love watching him run. I love watching him catch the ball. You're looking at me crazy. I just don't think he got enough touches yet. I'm not going off of what I've seen. I'm going off of what I see him being. I definitely think Miles Sanders is going to be a top 5 running back in the NFL this year. My number 2 running back, Zeke is not on this list. My number 2 running back, Christian McCaffrey. He defied all odds. They said he too small. He not going to be able to run between the tackles. He is a problem. He was killing with there was nobody on Carolina you respected. Nobody that you respected. He was the only weapon and still got the ball and still balled out. I suspect nothing but greater things with more weapons around him and Teddy Bridgewater, who don't like to throw the ball down the field, who's going to love just throwing him little dump offs. And he was catching dump offs and just he getting the ball. You know it. Who else did you respect on that team? Nobody. The number 1 running back in the league, to me, is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is, I'll run you over. I'll catch the ball. I can take it 80 yards. He can do anything you need done on the football field as a running back. He can do it. And the weapons around him, Daniel Jones going to get better. I like Ingram. They got some pieces around him. You're not going to be able to fill that box up against him. So I got Saquon Barkley as the number 1 running back in the league.
Okay. So just for clarity for our viewers and our listeners out there, this category is the top 5 NFL running backs. That means right now, not your projections, but who's right now, who did it, who's doing it, who has the history. So number 5 for me.
Hold on. But G, okay, well, we wasn't clear on that.
No. You had your time to talk, my brother.
Go ahead. Okay.
Time out right now.
That's
number
fine.
5 for me is Nick Chubb. I'm in agreement there. Nick Chubb is the number 5 running back in the NFL currently. Nick Chubb is a hell of a player. He's a game breaker. If their coaches had more sense, he would have had probably 400 or 500 more rushing yards last year if they would have kept feeding him the ball. I feel like Cleveland was trying to force the passes last year because of all the weapons that they had, and they got away from the run game. Baltimore had a stout run defense last year, and Chubb chewed them up. They couldn't stop. New England couldn't stop them either, and they had a stout run defense. So we're in agreement with that. Number 4, Derrick Henry, the current NFL rushing leader. Derrick Henry been punishing defenses for years. He won a Heisman Trophy as a college player at Alabama, and he had a slow start in his NFL career. But once they got rid of the platoon situation he had going on in Tennessee, and they feature him, Derrick Henry been tearing the league up. So Tennessee, they've been a problem. They're an old-fashioned team with smash-mouth football, play-action passing, and sound defense. But Derrick Henry definitely is number 4 in the NFL. How could you have a guy that ran for over 1,700 yards and led his team to the NFL, the AFC Championship game, not get his just due? I can't do that. Dalvin Cook is a phenomenal talent, but he get hurt way too much. And last year is the first season he really put something together that was worthwhile. Once Dalvin Cook is able to sustain his health and produce multiple years of that success, then I can put him in my top 5. Until then, he doesn't make my top 5. Number 3, Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not going to disrespect Zeke. Zeke is a bona fide, he's a guaranteed 1,250 yards, 10 touchdowns, 50 catches year in and year out. Whether he held out in this training camp or not, Zeke is just a beast. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I don't like Dallas, but I'm not going to take that man's credit. He go out there and ball year in and year out. Zeke easily can get 20 to 25 carries. He maintains his health. He typically maintains his production as well, and he's been doing it year in and year out. I mean, he's been in the NFL for 4 years, and he led the league in rush yards 3 times. How could you not put that man in the top 5? That would just be hate and disrespect to do otherwise. Number 2, Saquon Barkley. Saquon is like LeBron James on the football field for me. I love watching him play. Saquon Barkley can take a carry and take it to the house. I just watched a clip of him against the Eagles, and they gave that man a draw out the shotgun. He running up the sideline, and the linebacker was about 3 yards away from him, and he waved bye-bye because he knew it was no way that man was catching me. He took it to the house. He's one of the most exciting players in the NFL currently. He can catch a pass and take it to the house. He can take a run and break tackles, or he can shake you like Barry Sanders. I love watching Saquon play as well. He's one of my favorite players to check out. But number one goes to CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey ran for over 1,000 yards last season, and he had over 1,000 yards receiving with Cam Newton hurt. Cam Newton only played 2 games last season. So that means that Kyle Allen was at quarterback. Kyle Allen. Nobody knows who Kyle Allen is. Now, Carolina does have weapons. DJ Moore is a stud wide receiver. Curtis Samuel has speed and potential, but he needs to be more consistent. But pretty much, you knew Christian McCaffrey was getting the ball when you played Carolina, and nobody can stop that dude. He is a second-generation NFL player. His father, Ed McCaffrey, is a Super Bowl winning wide receiver. Ed McCaffrey played for good teams throughout his career. He was on the Giants. When the Giants won the Super Bowl against Buffalo in 90, he was in the San Francisco 49ers organization. They won the Super Bowl in 94, and he ended up his career with the Denver Broncos, and he was the other starter wide receiver across from Rod Smith. But his son, his protege, Christian McCaffrey, is a monster. What I feel about Christian McCaffrey is similar to Steph Curry in basketball. Steph Curry was a monster in college at Davidson, and nobody in their wildest dreams would have saw him doing what he did in college in the NBA, but he has. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey was a beast at Stanford, and he's been able to carry that same beastness over from college to the NFL, so he gets the mantle as number one in my book for me.
Okay, can I talk there?
Go ahead. Your turn, Nick.
Now,
Mike is back, my brother.
The 2 things that stand out to me is Zeke. I'm not saying Zeke not a beast. I'm very aware of that. But I think the Dallas Cowboys is going to be 3 wide receivers throwing that rock. Did they make your list, or they were on your? They made my honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
You add CB Lamb to that with those 2 receivers who are 1,000-yard receivers. I just see the ball going up in the air a whole lot more times. As far as Henry, you got Tannehill back there. Can you really trust Tannehill? We're not sure. So I think a lot of teams are going to be putting 8, 9 in the box and making Tannehill beat them. I think that's what's going to happen. And I think at 6'3", 220 pounds, that big body, it's a lot to hit. You leave a lot to hit. Am I right, G? You play running back, you leave a lot to hit. And I think that a body that big at running back wears down faster. And in a year or two, we're going to be like, damn, Derrick Henry makes this amount of money.
Do you know who the best rookie wide receiver was in the NFL this past season?
Yes, he played for the Tennessee Titans. That's my guy, A.J. Brown.
What's his name? A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown will prevent teams from putting 8 in the box.
Right.
I think there's enough film on him for teams to recognize that we're not going to play ourselves and make that mistake. Because nobody wants to tackle A.J. Brown in the open field. When that man gets his hands on the ball, he's like a running back with the ball in his hands. I think he led the league in yards after the catch in the last 8 games. Ryan Tannehill finally looked like a legit NFL quarterback with Tennessee's system. He's an athletic quarterback. He can move around in the pocket. They have a good tight end. Delaney Walker, I believe they let him go, but Jonnu Smith is a hell of an athlete. He's very fast, and he's good. I've seen them throw him a tight end screen, and he had like a 67-yard touchdown catch. That boy can move. So Tennessee, they have some pieces on offense, but I don't think 8 in the box is the game that defenses are going to play against them. They have some explosive players that would make defenses regret doing it.
And one more thing, G. You talk about somebody only having one real – Derrick Henry had one very nice year, I feel like, which was last year. The year before
said
that,
Derrick Henry only had one nice year?
Like that. He wasn't – was he top 5 the year before that?
Derrick Henry had more than one nice season in the NFL.
Okay.
He's not a one-hit.
Okay, I'm interested.
He's not a one-hit wonder. That's your boy Dalvin Cook. That's why Dalvin Cook couldn't make the cut. He did not make the band.
That's fine.
He has to stay healthy. Once he learns how to stay healthy and he can duplicate the success that he had this past season, then I'll let him enter into the top 5 club. Until then, he's not invited.
That's fine. I will just see how this all plays out, and y'all remember this, please, okay? So, because I will bring it up. He knows this.
Well, Derrick Henry in 2018, he ran for over 1,000 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He had 12 touchdowns. Last year, he ran for 1,540 yards, 16 touchdowns. Sound like consistency to me, buddy.
We're going to see, Jay.
Okay. Moving on. Local star Ben Simmons. It's been reported that the Sixers are making some changes to their roster with the NBA restart taking place. Ben Simmons is getting moved from the point guard position, and they're slotting him at the 4, and he's going to be playing power forward. So the Sixers have shaken up their lineup. Their starting 5 now will be Shake Milton at point guard, Josh Richardson at shooting guard, Tobias Harris moves back to the 3, which is his natural position, Ben Simmons at 4, and then Embiid at 5. So do you think Ben Simmons moving to his natural position, in my opinion, raises the Sixers' chances of making a deep playoff run, and does it put them in a better position for long-term success?
I think, first of all, it was the pressure. The city has been, we both from the city, the city has been disappointed when it comes to their head coach and his style. And a lot of people feel like some of the failures on the team have been because of him. I think it's a smart move. I think we're talking about a different Sixers team now, but it's going to take some time for it to gel. And that might play a part in it. I think it might be more beneficial going into the next year than it will be this year. I'm rooting for them, though. I feel like being at the 4, with that speed, ain't too many power forwards that can keep up with him. Ain't too many point guards that can stay in front of him. Ain't too many people on the court, period, that can stay in front of Ben Simmons. So him at the 4 and putting more speed on the court makes more sense. It opens the floor up more. I don't know if Shake Milton, even though I like him and I like what he brings, I don't know if he's ready for the big time. It's going to be some big time plays. It's going to be some big time point guards out here. And, the point guard position is the most, everybody got a good point guard for the most part. So, I mean, you can, it's point guards everywhere. So, I think it's going to be fun to watch, interesting to watch. I think it's a good move. I think maybe going to the offseason and picking up a better point guard and Milton probably coming off the bench would be a better look in the future. I think it was definitely a move to save the coach's job more than anything because everybody in the city's been frustrated with the performance and they've underplayed.
Well, how is it saving the coach's job? We haven't seen any outcome from it yet. It's just a move that they're making. They didn't even get back on the court and play yet. So what if they get on the court and it's a flop and it's a major failure? And that's not going to be a move that's saving the coach's job. In my opinion, Ben Simmons' natural position is power forward. He played forward in college at LSU, and he had no problem shooting the ball. It wasn't until he came to the Sixers that he magically all of a sudden stopped shooting. I couldn't understand it for the life of me. But it's an addition by subtraction in my eyes because they're making this move. Al Horford slides to the bench. Al Horford coming off the bench, he still can ball. So now that's going to strengthen our second unit. And instead of us having Mike Scott as our 6th man off the bench, you get to bring Al Horford, Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson Jr., or Glenn Robinson III, Korkmaz, who can shoot. Now Mike Scott is like the 10th man instead of the 6th man. So now, and we still have Matisse Thybulle, our rookie, Swiss Army knife, who was a lockdown defender, and he can shoot an open 3. So now, because they strengthened the bench, when our starters need to get some rest, we don't have G Leaguers that's out there. We actually have guys that can do something and be difference makers. And I think that's going to be really helpful. The other thing is when Embiid got injured and Ben Simmons was out there playing, or when Embiid missed games, Ben was being played at the 4 some of those times, and they were playing small ball. So I like the idea of Ben Simmons being able to take the rebound and get out and run. Not that we got to walk the ball up and then go into the half court like this 1970 or 1980. I just feel like it gives other elements to the Sixers to allow them to be more explosive and have a more free-flowing offense. And then if things don't go right, they don't have the numbers for a break, just slow it up and give Embiid the ball in the post. Or since Ben is at the 4 now, Shake and Ben can run the pick and roll. Ben is an excellent passer, so you're putting him in the middle of the court at the high post, running that play. I just feel like that's going to open some things up for the Sixers, and they have something to prove as well. So I'm actually looking forward to the move. I'm excited about it.
I didn't mean that it was going to save him. I think he felt like he had to do something because if this thing don't work and he kept being at the point, do you think he'd have made it to next season, Brown?
Hopefully, no, because
Right.
I feel like the weak link with the Sixers is at the coaching position. I
So
feel like there's untapped potential that has not been unlocked yet.
don't you think he feels the pressure?
He should. He's a coach in
So
Philadelphia. Absolutely. We
when you
vocalize our opinions around here.
so when you feel like that, when you hear those things, he might have felt a little more pressure. If he felt like he might not, if he didn't feel so, if things weren't so bad and people weren't so vocal about it and people weren't blaming him, the move might not have came as fast. He made this move because this move might save his. It might. It's possible.
Well, you're using the word as fast. I mean, the NBA has not been playing since March. We're in July now.
Right.
It wasn't a fast move. That man had plenty of time to think things through and think things over. So it's just something that he came out of the bubble and a change that the team came up with. I like the
Right.
move.
But
I think it should have happened a long time ago. Shake Milton should have been on the regular roster a long time ago. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. But thank God they finally figured it out, and that man got a chance. He showed that he can actually ball. He can consistently knock down jump shots. He shoots a high percentage from three, and that's something that the Sixers was missing. They already had the piece. They just wasn't using the piece. They left him in the garage collecting dust for a long period of time. But moving on, the NBA is about to restart on July 30th. Today they actually started airing. Currently, right now, NBA is on NBA TV right now. They're airing scrimmages. Orlando and the Clippers are currently on right now. And for those of you that need to get your whistle wet because you haven't seen live sports or you're missing basketball, click on NBA TV and you can see what's going on. So we reported a couple episodes back that Victor Oladipo was opting out of the restart with the NBA. And Oladipo found out if he did that, he wasn't going to get paid. Now, it's very interesting. The Indiana Pacers, they were going to still pay him if he opted out of the restart, but the NBA superseded the Pacers, and they didn't want them setting a precedent that guys could not play and still get paid. So Oladipo said, well, let me rethink that, and he's back at practice and supposedly is going to be on a roster when the Pacers start back up. What's your thoughts on that, Neef?
I mean, it makes sense. You know, if I mean, it all goes back to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. You know, you should want to play. I understand Victor's situation because he's coming off an injury, but that could start. Okay, if he can sit out, well, I got an injury. You know, sometimes when I'm at work, right, people might come in and they say, you know, you got winged in chicken wings, right, and they'll be like, well, can I just get just the small one, and I don't want the drumstick. And sometimes you got, you know, if you do that for one person, then the next person in line got a special request. So can I get just drumless? And then you're just starting a whole big thing. And I feel like that can happen. So I totally understand that situation. And, you know, it's sad that people get that way, but it could come from a sincere place and you could really feel like, you know, health-wise, it might not be the best move for them. But if we do it for you, we got to do it for everybody else. So
right.
I could dig it.
I mean, the other factor in it is that he has free agency coming up. And I could see him wanting to preserve his health to not go into free agency hurt and injured and broken down, because that would definitely cost him the bag, and it would cost him some money if he didn't have things secured on his end. So I definitely could see both sides of the coin with that. But sticking with the NBA, the seasonal awards. The NBA is basically wrapping up things from when the season started to March 11th, and the voters have to make their decisions on league MVP, defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, most improved player, sixth man of the year, and coach of the year. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on those awards as up to this point, Neef. League MVP, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo as the two-time consecutive MVP of the league. He's dominated the league from start to finish. He actually increased his numbers from last year to this year. His team has the best record, and they didn't miss a beat. LeBron has had a hell of a season. The level of play at age 35, I believe he is phenomenal. I mean, he leads the league in assists, averaging 26 points, almost 11 assists a game. but Giannis has been a little better than LeBron as well. So I got Giannis winning the league MVP again. What say you, Neef?
Yeah, I totally agree with all those things being said. And they got the best record. They had the best record in the league.
Yeah,
Right?
Milwaukee does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So with all that being said, I definitely agree.
Okay. Coach of the year, I definitely have Nick Nurse, Toronto's coach. Nobody with common sense in the brain would have thought the Toronto Raptors would have been better or as good this year, losing Kawhi Leonard. And they haven't missed a beat. They've been a little better in the regular season this year than they were last year. And some of their role players have stepped up and grown and blossomed and really made a difference. They've elevated their play. And I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago about the impact that Kawhi had playing with the Toronto Raptors. Like, he was able to teach some of the things that he does to those younger guys. But I have Nick Nurse out of Toronto as my coach of the year. Who you got?
I agree with that, and I think they GM play a big part in that too. You got a lot of. I've seen some guys playing this year on the court that I've never seen before, and they fit the system, and they come in and they contribute. And so I think Nick Nurse, but I think the GM picking, these guys and the guys they come. Man, I don't know where these guys come from, but
Masai Ujiri, he's a hell of a GM.
That's I know a lot of people after him too.
That dude he's a beast, man. He's a beast. I think the Wizards tried to get him, but I don't think he took the beat. He's stuck in Toronto. Rookie of the year, I got Ja Morant. Again, the NBA cut it off to March 11th. Being as though that Zion missed so many games, Ja Morant was consistent. If the season ended today, Memphis is in the playoffs, and he's been exciting. He's must-see TV. If Zion played more games, then it would really be an argument. But being as though that he missed so much of the season, I can't slight Ja. Ja Morant would be rookie of the year for me.
Ja star, definitely. And maybe if Zion played, we had 9 games of Zion? Was it that many?
He might have. I think Zion played 20.
Oh, okay, my bad. 20 games. You don't know. 20 games, 82 games are two different things. So
right.
Who's to say that for them other 62 games, Zion would have did the same numbers that he did the 20 back.
Right.
I definitely feel like Ja's a star, and I think even if 100% healthy, he would have definitely gave Zion a hell of a run, and it wouldn't just be Zion just a rookie of the year. I feel like Ja would have made a suitable case and maybe won it even.
Right. Most improved player. This is an interesting category because a lot of young guys have blossomed and elevated their games and went to the next level. But this guy is my favorite player in the NBA right now, and I will give most improved player to him, Mr. Luka Doncic in Dallas. Luka is the monster. But to see where he went from his rookie season to year 2, and if the season ended today, Dallas is in the playoffs, and they're only a few games out of like the 4 seed. Luka has really stepped up and elevated his game to like superstar status. Who you got for most improved player?
I'm honestly sitting here trying to think of somebody different. I look at Luka I feel like right now Luka is the most fun player to watch.
Must-see TV.
Yes, he's the most exciting player to watch, and I hate that I'm agreeing with everything you're saying right now. So I'm trying to think of somebody else who really
and give you some assistance.
I just can't think of nobody. Like I was hoping you didn't say Luka right here, but
Pascal Siakam is consideration.
Matter of fact, I think he should be rookie of the year. Even though I enjoy just the number boost. I think if you compare their stats, because I think that's what they go off for the most part is from one year to the next. You did as good as he was last year in the playoffs. I didn't know that he was going to step up and continue to step up, and I think we will see that continue to happen. So I am going to change it. Even though Luka's a good one, I think Pascal, he's definitely he's must-see TV too. I definitely think.
I like watching him play, man. He bring it every night.
That's definitely a good one.
Last category is Sixth Man of the Year, and this category. Go ahead.
You ain't do Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay. Good catch. So moving on to Sixth Man of the Year, this is a loaded category as well, and a lot of different guys that you could choose from. I'm going with Montrezl Harrell from the LA Clippers. Montrezl is a beast. He averaged darn near 20 points a game off the bench. He isn't a one-hit wonder. He brings a certain toughness to that team, and he brings it every single night. So if Sixth Man of the Year, I will be selecting Montrezl Harrell. You got a long list of guys. I mean, you got Lou Williams on his same team. You got Dennis Schroeder from Oklahoma City. You got Jordan Clarkson. He got picked up, traded to Utah, and he stepped up and started playing a pivotal role off the bench. But for me, I'm going with Montrezl Harrell.
I cannot think of my man's name from Indiana who was an All-Star this year. He should definitely be up for most improved player too. Sabonis.
Oh, the Midas Sabonis? Yes.
I recall him not starting some games though.
Nah, he was a sixth man last year, but they who did they lose? Who did Indiana lose? Or was it Oladipo going down? So Oladipo got hurt again.
Right.
So
was he start? Him and Turner was starting together.
Nah, who did they have? Thaddeus Young. Thaddeus Young left via free agency and went to Chicago. So now that cleared the room.
I got my sixth man of the year. My sixth man of the year, Kobe White for the Chicago Bulls.
Sixth man of the year? Come on, man. Come on.
Listen, yo. The last couple months.
It's of the year. It's not who got hot for a few games. It's of the year. Like, come on, you're not getting away with that on this show. You're not getting away with that on this show.
No, listen.
Of the year.
No.
Who had a good month.
No, GG. I can't every time agree with you. So Harold definitely should be sixth man of the year. So I got to come up with somebody else that stuck out to me off the bench. And I know when I was playing fantasy basketball, I love Kobe White.
You try to give Kobe White sixth man of the year, yo. Are you kidding me?
And he went to North Carolina. No, I'm not trying to give it to him, but I'm just trying to think of a number.
I'm a North Carolina fan. That's my team.
That's my guy. Right.
Kobe White not getting no sixth man of the year because he had a couple good games.
You're right. Harold should get sixth man of the year, but you keep saying all the good answers. So, matter of fact, I'm answering this next question first.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm answering this next question first.
You're just trying to switch it up. I get it.
Yeah, right.
So defensive player of the year is our last category. I'm going to let you start with defensive player of the year. Who you got winning that award?
Defensive player of the year is Anthony Davis. Point blank, period.
AD?
Yes, sir.
What's your case for him winning defensive player of the year?
Just, I think it, like I said, it's watching him. Go after every basket, no matter what he's doing. The offensive end of he's the anchor. He anchors it, even though Dwight come in and Dwight anchors it when Dwight's in there. I just feel like across the board, he can play 1 through 5. He can stick 1 through 5. I feel like he can't hold the one down for a long time, but he can get, you run a pick and roll, and he on the one, he can hold he can stay in front of the one.
He can guard 1 through 5, no doubt.
Right. So I feel like that aspect of it. He got quick hands. He can get you a steal. He don't mind getting a little dirty. And listen, you coming in with that foolishness, he gonna throw it in the third row. So for me, it's Anthony Davis.
Well, I think the voters are going to give Defensive Player of the Year to Giannis. But in my opinion, I'm a homer with this one. Ben Simmons is my Defensive Player of the Year. Ben Simmons has been lighting it up out there defensively all year, looking like Scottie Pippen mixed with Gary Payton. He's been out there doing his thing, man. And he definitely better be first team all defense. Ben Simmons had a hell of a year on a defensive end. So for me, if I was picking, I would be choosing Ben Simmons for Defensive Player of the Year, but I think the voters are probably going to give it to Giannis.
I ain't mad at Ben Simmons. Definitely on some steals type time. He can stick 1 through 5 almost too. So
right, and I mean it's not just steals. It's like his man-to-man defense, some locking people up. When the Sixers in Boston have played this year, and Ben is guarding Tatum has struggled when Ben Simmons is guarding him. Now, unfortunately, Boston has a lot of weapons, so Ben can't stay on Tatum the whole entire game. But we know Jason Tatum is an up-and-coming star in this league, and he'll bucket. But Ben is on another level when it comes to his defensive prowess. But moving on, we're going to jump back to the NFL and break down the AFC North. We had the Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, and the Cincinnati Bengals. So coming in last, I think the Cincinnati Bengals will be coming in last place again in that division. They won't have the first pick in the draft like they did this year when they drafted Joe Burrow. But I think Cincinnati are looking at a 6-10 season coming up. They had a rookie coach, Zach Teller, this past season, and now they have a rookie quarterback coming in. So I think they're still going to go through some growing pains. They do have some weapons, but they're going through like a transition period. They are going to be playing the NFC North this year, so they got to face the Eagles, Dallas, the Giants, and the Redskins. But they also play in a tough division. But I see the Bengals coming in last in that division and they're looking at about a 6-10 season.
I agree, totally agree. I feel like they're going to be fun to watch, though. I think they're going to be I think they're going to be more entertaining. I'm interested in seeing what Burrows do. I like Mixon back there. They got some weapons too. I like AJ Green. I really hope I root for him. I want him to come back healthy and continue his career. I can't think of the other receiver who got
Tyler
off
Boyd.
last year. Yeah, Tyler Boyd. I don't really know on the defensive side who they have. So I can see them in a lot of shootouts. I can see them being, in some close games and being entertaining. But I think, they're going to be on the wrong side of 8-8, definitely.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned they're going through a transition. They don't have a stout defense. They still got a couple guys that's good on defense, but their overall core, they're not good enough. Coming in third in that division, I have the Cleveland Browns. I see Cleveland having an 8-8 season this year. They have a lot of pieces and a lot of weapons, but I believe they have another rookie coach again. They started over with another coach, and they play in a tough division. Baker Mayfield is going into year 3 as a quarterback, and if he does not grow and ascend to the next level, all the weapons that they got is kind of pointless because you need him to be the gatekeeper, unlock things for that offense to be as explosive as they would like. They have a lot of talent on the defensive end of the ball as well, but I think just from them having a rookie coach and so much unsureties with Baker Mayfield, not knowing if he's going to take the next step or is he going to regress, even with all that talent they have on their roster, I see the Browns going 8-8 this year.
Now that's interesting because I didn't see you saying that. This is definitely a make it or break it season for Baker. Like you said, there's no excuse, and a system that I can't think of their head coach's name. He's a new head coach, but he was the Vikings offensive coordinator, where he used Dalvin Cook and Diggs and Thielen very well. Man, it's going to be on. It's going to be on Baker to where this team goes because there's too many times of people around for them not to be 10-6. So if they are 8-8, which is a disappointment, I think it'll be them interceptions that make that Baker has been known to throw in bunches. So I think
questionable decision making.
Yeah, definitely.
Coming in second in the division, I had the Pittsburgh Steelers. I see the Steelers going at least 10-6 this year. They have a phenomenal coach in Mike Tomlin. Their defense was elite last year. They dealt with a lot of injuries. Ben Roethlisberger got hurt in the first couple games of the season, and they just barely missed the playoffs. James Conner stepped in his first full season, replacing Le'Veon Bell, and he was injury-prone throughout the majority of the season. They have some weapons at wide receiver. They have Juju Smith-Schuster. Deontay Johnson was a great addition as a rookie wide receiver. They got James Washington. They signed Eric Ebron as a free agent. They pair with Vance McDonald. So getting a healthy Ben back. They still have a strong offensive line. That defense is real, man. They got some dogs on defense. T.J. Watt, J.J.'s brother, all-pro, rush specialist, Bud Dupree. There's a monster, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They traded for him from Miami. Once they got him, they was forcing a lot of turnovers week in and week out. So I definitely see Pittsburgh at least winning double-digit games, but coming in second in that division.
Yo, I forgot Pittsburgh had all that on defense. And don't forget the young cat Bush. Bush ball from Michigan.
Devin Bush, they first-round pick from last year. Nice.
Definitely. So now that I think about it, that 10-6 don't sound bad. I can definitely see that happening. I think it depends on Ben and if everybody around. Ben was drafted with Eli and with
Phillip Rivers. Yeah, he's long in the tooth.
Right. So it depends on how Ben comes. Ben might feel like he got something to prove with Le'Veon going and with Brown going. So I think that it's a little motivation. He got 2 rings. I don't know if he'll get that third one, but he might be motivated. He come in good shape. I think Pittsburgh can be legit. I think I want to see Cleveland, but I'm not mad at Pittsburgh 10-6 in second in the division.
And then obviously I have the Baltimore Ravens repeating as division winners in the AFC North. Baltimore will go either 11-5 or 12-4 is what I project. They did not fall off. They added to their roster in the offseason. They drafted Devin Duvernay out of Texas, who's a speedster. to partner with the other weapons that they already have. They also drafted J.K. Dobbins at running back out of Ohio State. So now they got Mark Ingram with a thumper in Dobbins, and that offensive line that they got, and their defense was excellent. They made a great trade picking up Marcus Peters from the Rams, who went back to his old form and ended up making second-team All-Pro, if I'm not mistaken. Lamar Jackson, I think, is still going to ascend and take his game to another level as well. But I see them being a crown jewel of that division and coming in first place again.
Definitely. Mark Ingram, I like Mark Ingram a lot. His personality, his attitude, but then you can reserve him a little bit. He getting a little older. He getting closer to 30. So you got two. It's another running back. The backup, I can't think of his name right now.
Gus Edwards, Justin
Yes,
Sill.
I like Gus. I like Gus Edwards also. So they got like 4 running backs. So they can keep running that ball. I think Hollywood been looking good. All the stuff, out the pads is different than shorts, but Hollywood, like, he might have a better season. They got Campbell too from Jacksonville, so you got some veteranship and some.
Yeah, Calais Campbell's a beast, man.
Yeah, so I mean, and they drafted that middle linebacker too. I can't think his name off the top of my head.
Out of Patrick Queen out of LSU.
Yeah, so I mean,
so they didn't take a step back. They added more firepower to what they already had going on last year, and they was killing everybody.
Kansas City, stand by.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to transition to our hot topic of every week is our better player comparison. And in this week, we got 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers who played in the same era. We have Terrell Owens and Randy Moss. Who you got, Keith?
Man, listen, there's only one NFL wide receiver who can even sit with my man, Jerry Rice, and that's Randy Moss. Randy Moss, to me, is, you talk about must-see TV, man. I remember 3 catches for 3 touchdowns on Thanksgiving in Dallas in his rookie year. Man, listen, there ain't nothing in the world. There's nothing T.O. can do that can match. The man just throw his arm up in the air and catch the ball. And let's not forget the locker room effect of Terrell Owens, which has to play a part from sit-ups in the.
Did you mention locker room in the same sentence? And we're talking about Randy Moss and Terrell Owens.
Listen, it affects. If I'm picking somebody for a team, and not saying that Randy's an angel because Randy ain't no angel, but Terrell has done a lot of destruction. Don't get me wrong, Terrell Owens a beast. Touchdowns, I think he got like 1 or 2 more than Randy. He tours whatever he tore, and in the Super Bowl he balled out for the Eagles. He definitely did. But I still see popcorn and Stand on the Star and a bunch of shenanigans that kind of take away from the greatness of him. That man right now has a body of a man who could play in the league right now. Terrell Owens today, at his age, he has the body of somebody who could play right now.
Do you know T.O. just raced Tyreek Hill? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, I didn't see the race, but I saw that.
I saw the race. Tyreek Hill ran a 4.37 in a 40. T.O. ran a 4.4. T.O. 46 years old.
Right.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm gonna let you finish up your point, your Randy Moss point.
Are you going to let me finish?
You're a Vikings fan, so I'm not surprised.
I see Randy up close and personal. I mean, I don't think you can lose with either one. Definitely both are great wide receivers. I think they are, with Jerry, the top 3 wide receivers in NFL history. But if I wanted somebody, there's nothing you can. You talk about that speed. That speed Randy had was 4.2. I think Randy in his prime might give Tyreek Hill a run for his money too. But that boy can just run a fly route and throw his hand up in the air. Just chuck it up there, dog. And that was amazing to watch. Like, you can win with either one of them, but if I had to pick one to be my receiver, my number 1 receiver, it would be Randy Moss.
Gotcha. Well, I had the privilege to watch both of these guys. I love seeing both of them play, but Terrell Owens got some elements that Randy Moss don't got. Terrell Owens blocked. Randy Moss wasn't blocking for no running backs. Terrell Owens was a more physical wide receiver than Randy Moss was. So you talking about Randy Moss chucking that hand up, throwing me the ball? Well, T.O. could catch a wide receiver screen and be out, break tackles, put moves, and he's gone. T.O. could catch a 5 and in and be out. T.O. can catch a curl route and be out. T.O. can go long on a play action and be out. I don't take anything away from Randy Moss because he is arguably the greatest deep threat in the history of professional football. Throwing that jump ball up to Randy, that was just different. His physical ability was different. Randy Moss stands, 6'4"? His leaping ability was phenomenal. He was fast. But as far as a route tree, if you look at a route tree for a wide receiver, there's a lot of different routes that they run. I look at Randy as a great one-trick pony, meaning a deep ball. T.O. can catch any ball, and he can break out and take it to the house on any ball. You're looking at their numbers. Career-wise, T.O. caught 1,078 passes. He had 15,934 receiving yards and 153 touchdown catches. Randy Moss had 982 catches, 15,292 yards, and 156 receiving touchdowns. So their career stats is darn near identical. But for me, I like multi-dimensional players, man. T.O. blocked, and he could catch any pass and go to the house. I remember seeing Randy, shying away from catching the balls over the middle and stuff like that because he didn't want that punishment that's associated with catching the slant over the middle or a curl route and things like that, where Hines Ward liked to work the field in the years past. Go ahead, Neef.
Let's not forget the 2 years that Randy spent in Oakland. If you'd have put Randy with a almost legitimate situation, the stats wouldn't even add up for Randy.
Did Terrell Owens miss time as an Eagle when he did sit-ups in the driveway? Did he play that season?
Gee, we talking about 2 years. Did he play that season? Okay, that's fine.
T.O. played 4 games that year, Neef.
Okay, that's fine, G.
That's 12 games of stats that he didn't get. On top of that, T.O. could have still kept playing when the NFL blackballed him and wouldn't allow him to play no more. T.O. was old when he played in Cincinnati, and he played better than Ocho Cinco and everybody else that they had. He had over 1,000 yards receiving, and he was already old then. When he went to Buffalo, he balled out. I just let you know, T.O. just raced Tyreek Hill. He's still running 4.4 today at 46, and he's still in shape. T.O. still could have played for 3-4 more years. If he did, then his stats would have been a lot more as well. So I'm not giving Randy Moss no discount because he went to the black hole and played with the Raiders, and his stats tanked because it was a piss-poor organization during that period. Kerry Collins was careful with the ball, was scared to throw it up to Moss. When Moss chucked that hand up, throw me the ball. Not giving him no pass for that.
Okay, now, when we was on the block, right, you played football, right? It was a guy, I'm not going to say his name, right? But he wasn't a football player. So he was faster than me, though. So he was playing football on the block, and he would outrun me. But he couldn't catch. So you telling me how fast T.O. is right now, all I remember is that last season when he dropped 16 passes. Also, you keep talking about how Randy didn't block, right? That plays a role in his receiving skills. We don't knock Deion Sanders for not tackling very well. We still consider him to be the best corner in the league, if not the best, the top 2 corners ever in the league, and he didn't tackle anybody, and we're very aware.
First of all, that's a myth. That's a myth because I got proof and evidence of Deion making tackle. So that's just people that don't know any better says nonsense like that because they don't know no better. Deion tackled.
A lot of people say that. That's not something I just made up.
A lot of people don't have common sense.
You've heard that before, right?
A lot of people left from their right. I can't a lot of people. I know what I know. I ain't riding with nobody else think they know.
Well, we'll talk about Deion another day.
Say it again?
We'll talk about Deion another day.
Okay. But clearly we're on opposite ends of the spectrum on our better player topic this week. I'm riding with T.O. Neef is clearly riding with Randy Moss. And this was I've even discussed this during their playing days when they were still playing. It was always an interesting topic to discuss. But we definitely appreciate our listeners and our viewers for tuning in. You can catch us on YouTube, NT Sports Blitz Podcast. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts. You can catch us on Spotify. You can catch us on Pocket Cast. You can also catch us on Breaker. If you're looking for me personally, I'm on Instagram and Twitter under GPerry215, and I'm also on Facebook under Granville Goldsmith. Neef, let the people know where they can find you at.
I'm Hanif Wilkins Castle on Facebook, and NT Sports Blitz anywhere else. We're on any platform that you listen to podcasts on. So any platform that provides podcasts, you should be able to find us at n.t.sportsblitz with a Z Podcast. We thank y'all and appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and stand by for the next one.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all next week. Everybody be safe out there.
All right, Jay.